If you are thinking about picking one up, I just want to walk you through my experience living with it on my deck and actually cooking on it, not just talking about it. I am not someone who grew up around smokers, and I am not out here trying to babysit a fire all day. I wanted something that could handle slow cooking on the weekend, but also do regular grilling when I am hungry and do not want a project. What this is, in plain terms, is an electric-powered pellet grill that burns wood pellets. You pour pellets into the hopper on the side, plug it in, set a temperature, and it feeds pellets into the burn pot as it needs them. For me, that means I can focus on seasoning food and timing, instead of staring at vents and guessing what the coals are doing. If you like the idea of smoked food but you do not want the constant attention that some other setups demand, this type of grill makes sense. If you love tending a live fire and adjusting it by feel, you might find this style a little less hands-on than you want. The reason I ended up sticking with this one is temperature stability. I have used grills where you set a temperature and then spend the next hour chasing it. With this one, once it settles in, it stays where I tell it to stay most of the time. It uses a controller that is basically always correcting itself, which sounds fancy. But in real life it just means I can put ribs on, close the lid, and not feel like I have to check it every 10 minutes. In person, it looks like a serious backyard cooker. Mine is black with some stainless steel in the right places, and it has that solid, squared-off shape that feels more like an outdoor appliance than a lightweight grill. It is not a tiny unit. It takes up a real footprint on the deck, but it is not so huge that it dominates the space. The thing that matters day to day is that it feels sturdy when I open and close the lid. The lid has weight to it. The handle feels solid. The shelves do not flex like cheap sheet metal. I have rolled it around plenty of times, and the wheels make it manageable, even though the grill itself is heavy. It is around 110 pounds, and I can tell you, you do not casually lift it. Rolling it is fine. Carrying it is not. I have left mine outside through normal weather, including wet weeks and cold nights. I do use a cover now, but I did not always. After a few years, it has the normal signs of use. Some staining, some smoke marks, and some grease spots that never fully disappear unless you really go after them. Nothing about it feels like it is falling apart. It feels like a tool that has been used. Setup was not hard, but it was not instant either. It took me a bit to get everything positioned, get the hopper loaded, and do that first burn in. If you have never used a pellet grill, the only confusing part is trusting that it is going to feed pellets correctly and hold temperature without you constantly adjusting things. The controls are straightforward once you spend a little time with them. I did not feel lost, but I did have to slow down, read what the screen was telling me, and let it do its thing instead of constantly touching settings. Daily use is simple. I keep a container of pellets nearby so I can top off the hopper before a longer cook. I plug it in, set the temperature, and wait for it to come up to heat. I have learned to give it a little time to stabilize before food goes on, because the first few minutes can be a little more active while it gets going. After that, it is mostly set and forget, with the normal check-ins you would do for any cook. Cooking on it is where the differences show up. Low and slow is the easy mode. Brisket, pork shoulder, ribs, whole chickens, turkey breast, that kind of stuff. I have done long cooks where I just let it run, and the temperature stays steady enough that I do not worry about it. I can do other things, come back, and the grill is still sitting near the set point. The smoke flavor is what I would call clean and controlled. It is not the same as tending a stick burner all day, but it is real wood smoke, and it tastes like it. There is also a smoke level setting that lets you push a little more smoke when you want it. I actually use that. On chicken wings, I go heavier because I like that deeper smoke. On fish, I back it off because too much smoke can take over fast. One of the most practical parts is cleanup. Ash is part of pellet grills. If you ignore it, you will eventually have issues. On this one, I can pull a lever and dump the ash out of the burn cup area without taking the whole grill apart. The first time I used that, I realized how much I hate vacuuming ash out of corners. Grease management is also reasonable, as long as you keep up with it. If you let it go for too long, it gets messy like any other grill. I scrape the grates while they are still warm, and every few cooks I do a deeper clean. That routine has kept it from getting disgusting. Now, real-world testing. On a weekend, I will do ribs and a couple racks fit easily. I have done a full spread where there is sausage on one side, chicken thighs on another, and a tray of beans catching drippings below. It handles that kind of mixed cook well, because the heat is even enough that I am not constantly rotating everything. For burgers, it works, but I will be honest about something. A pellet grill can grill, but it is not always the same experience as ripping hot charcoal. You can get good burgers, but the sear is not as aggressive unless you plan for it and run it hotter. Steaks are similar. I can do steaks and they come out good, but if you are chasing that hard sear, you have to work with the grill, not just expect it to behave like a dedicated high-heat gas grill. At higher temperatures, it uses pellets faster. That is not a defect, it is just how these work. When I cook hot and fast, I keep extra pellets nearby because the hopper can drop quicker than you expect. For low-temperature smoking, pellet use is much more relaxed and predictable, and I can go for hours without thinking about it. I also want to talk about the smart features and the app, because those can either be genuinely useful or just annoying. On this grill, the connected features mostly help with peace of mind. I like being able to check temperature without walking outside every time. I do not use the app to play with settings constantly. I use it to confirm the grill is holding steady and to keep an eye on food temperature during longer cooks. It is not perfect. Sometimes connections can be finicky depending on your home network and where the grill sits. When it works, it is convenient. When it does not, I just use the controller at the grill and move on. I do not consider the app essential, but I do appreciate it on long smokes when I am inside doing other things. Performance in real conditions has been consistent for me. Wind and cold can still affect any grill, and I have noticed it takes longer to come up to temperature in colder weather. Once it is running, it still holds temperature well, but I plan a little extra time in winter. I also learned that opening the lid too often is the fastest way to mess with your cook. The grill recovers, but you are letting heat and smoke out every time. When I leave it alone, it rewards me. So here is where I land on strengths and limitations after actually using it. The strengths are steady temperature control, real wood smoke flavor without constant babysitting, solid build, and easy ash cleanup that makes maintenance feel doable instead of miserable. The limitations are that it is heavy. It is not the fastest thing to start if you are impatient. It burns pellets faster when you run it hot, and it is not the same kind of high-heat searing machine you would buy if steaks are your main thing every week. Overall, I keep using it because it fits real life. I can do a long cook and still have a normal day. I can make food that tastes like I put in more effort than I actually did, and I can clean it up without dreading it. It is not magic. It is just a practical pellet grill that does what it is supposed to do, as long as you meet it halfway with basic cleaning and keeping pellets on hand. If you have been thinking about the Camp Chef XT24 pellet grill smoker, and you want a cooking setup that makes smoking less stressful, I get why it is on your list. If you already own one, I would like to hear how you use it and what you have learned along the way. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or your own barbecue stories. Thank you for watching.